Good morning again. Hello. How you doing? I trust you had a good night. So today I want to talk. Let's go quickly into 2 Samuel 21. So we start off with famine in the land. For 3 years there was famine, and everyone just thought it was normal. Famine in the land. But after 3 years, David was like, this one passed normal, let's check it out. So he went ahead and he realized that it wasn't normal, and he asked God, what's going on? Why do we have famine in the land? Question for you, do you recognize when things are just not, I don't know the English, but it's not normal? Because there are sometimes you just go like, oh, that's just the normal way life is, and you keep throwing resources at something that God is the one behind. So you are wasting your resources, because no matter how much they do irrigation, the famine was there because there was an issue. So anyway, David asked God, and God told David. David didn't even have to do too much drama. Immediately he asked God. God was just waiting for him to ask. Immediately he asked him. God answered. He told him that it is Saul that caused your problem. Your problem is caused by Saul. And that's because he murdered the Gibeonites. So let's do a backtrack and meet the Gibeonites. So the Gibeonites, when the Israelites were marching towards the promised land, or when they were going towards the promised land, they were conquering nations, fighting wars, etc. So the Gibeonites, who were mighty men of war, figured out that we are not going to be able to win these guys. So they now disguised. They put on old clothes, carried old food, and they went to deceive the Israelites to say that they had come from a far country and that they came for peace. They were willing to invest all they had for peace sake. And Joshua and Israel went into an agreement with the Gibeonites that they were not going to fight them. And then later they found out that they were their next door neighbor. But what was said, God honors covenants. Many years later, Saul, in his zeal, he came and he killed the Gibeonites. The ones that God told him to kill, he did not kill. The ones God told him not to kill, or when no one sent him to kill, he went to kill those ones. And God did not say anything. All through the time that Saul was king, God did not say anything. He didn't make there was no conversation. Remember that God stopped talking to Saul. That's one of the worst things that can ever happen to you. That God is not telling you anything. So you are saying that, oh, there's no issue. If he is not happy, he will tell me. He doesn't have to tell you. He didn't see anything under the time when Saul was king. He didn't see anything when David became king. He waited for the time that he was ready. So some of the things that you are dealing with, the issue may have happened many years back, but God did not say anything. So the fact that he's quiet about what you did does not mean that he approves. And that's a deep matter that we all need to stop and think about, because sometimes you say, oh, if I do this, if he's not happy about it, he will tell me. He doesn't have to. So the important thing is that we need to keep checking, asking him what's going on. Are we good? Are we together? And trust him in his mercy to let us know when we need to fix stuff. So Saul thought he had good intentions, but good intentions are not God intentions. You can do what you want and think that, oh, God should be happy with me. It is not always happy. So, good intentions are not essentially God intentions. Okay, so good intentions are not necessarily God intentions. You need to check with God. The fact that it's something good, it's good to give out, it's good to so and so. Yeah, there's a level you get to that you don't just do good things. You have to check, is this what God wants me to do at this time? In Saul's mind, I don't think he intended to do something evil in killing those Gibeonites. It was zeal, but it was misplaced zeal. And so misplaced zeal put Saul in trouble. And then, so something that stood out to me was that God didn't even, as in, David didn't have to do too much. He just had to ask. Now, what is it? It just gives the vibe that God was just waiting for someone that was interested in fixing things to ask him. And immediately, no drama, he said it's because Saul killed the Gibeonites. And another thing that struck me was that David now did not say, okay, God, what should I do to the Gibeonites to make it right? David called the people that been hurt and he asked them, what can I do to make things right so that you can bless the Israelites? I don't know, it was profound for me, because you would think that, since the conversation started with God telling him what the issue was, I would think that he will ask God for a solution. But I'm not sure why. I don't know if maybe God sent him to go back to the Gibeonites. I don't know. And the the request that those ones made, it's plenty. They asked for, they first of all did all that demure thing where you're like, oh, no, it's okay. And it just reminds me of what a preacher said, that when you go to the fathers, you've offended them, and you go and say, I'm sorry. And they say, oh, no, it's okay. It's not okay. Stay there until you people resolve the matter. Stay there. Don't just take their first is okay as the thing. You say, oh, are they lying? Are they being deceitful? No, they are just being fathers. That's how fathers do. Fathers don't used to talk anyhow. It's when you are really sure, when they are sure that you are serious about what you are saying. You are sure that you are truly remorseful. So David pressed them. He didn't take their first. It's okay. Don't just, you offended people, you killed people, and they told you it's okay. It's all gone. It's not all gone. Let's stay there. And they now said, okay, since it's Saul that killed our people, we want people from Saul's family. We want 7 sons of Saul. How did they arrive at the number 7? I don't know. I'm sure there will be some theologian that will give us the etymology and the high-sounding words of how they arrived at 7, the number of perfection, or something like that. But they asked for 7 sons of Saul. One thing that struck me, please, let's be sowing good seeds. David had to pick 7 sons and, of course, grandsons of Saul. And Mephibosheth was he was not supposed to escape it. He was a grandson of Saul, the son of Jonathan, David's covenant friend. But the covenant spoke higher. The covenant spoke for Mephibosheth on many occasions. The oath, because the Bible records it, that the only reason why David did not pick Mephibosheth for that thing that was supposed to consume him along with his family members was because he was a son of Jonathan. So, 2 questions. Number 1, what seeds are you sowing? So, as in, which oaths are you making? Which covenant relationships are you getting yourself into, so that it will speak many years after? But more importantly, have you met with the father of all fathers? Because maybe we may have had earthly fathers that have done things that they shouldn't have done, blah, 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 blah. Like Saul, Mephibosheth was his grandson, but Jonathan was able to step in and do something that would reverse what was supposed to come to Mephibosheth. And the ultimate sacrifice was paid by Christ. Christ has stepped in so that those things that we deserve, because of our covenant relationship with Christ, and because of Christ's covenant relationship with the people that need to execute judgment against us, you need to come into this ark. We need Christ to save us, because there are many things that a lot of us deserve, either because of our own actions or because of the actions of our forebears. But because of the Christ that we profess, that we have entered into, there are things that we are exempted from. I believe there is a time, an opportunity to pray that, hey, Father, there are things I deserve. There are things I deserve, either because of what I did or because of what my father or my grandfather or my mother or my grandmother did. But in your mercy, because it was mercy that spoke for Mephibosheth. And David, thankfully, was a covenant-keeping friend, because he did not have to honor the oath he had with Jonathan, but he was a faithful friend. That's another thing I would like to pick out of this. Jonathan was long dead. He couldn't have done anything if David did not honor the oath that he swore to Jonathan. But David was a faithful person. Even many years later, he still remembered the oath, and he spared Mephibosheth because of that oath. Unfortunately, the other grandsons of Saul, the sons of Merab, they did not get that. They didn't get that opportunity. So the 5 sons of Merab were executed. All of them. I know the interesting thing is that because Michal, the daughter of Saul, did not have children, I think she kind of adopted those 5 children. So they were more than her nephews. They were like her children. But David executed them. They were his relatives per se. They were his in-laws, but no nepotism. They had to go. It was painful, but it's one of those painful things where the grandchildren are paying for the sins of their grandfather. So what, are you going to be a Saul, leaving problems for your generations to come? Or are you going to be a Jonathan that will enter into oaths that will spare your people? It's up to you. It's really your call. Anyway, so David kills these 7 people because of the Gibeonites. It wasn't bloodthirsty. 2 of the people he killed were the sons of Rizpah, Saul's what they call them, concubine. So he killed Saul's children from his concubine. Before I used to say that, Saul had only one wife. I now realize that it's not true. He had a concubine. And so he killed the 2 children, two sons, Rizpah. And Rizpah, of course, was grieved. But she in her grief, she took actions that I think we can learn from. She didn't allow grief make her misbehave. She didn't misbehave as a result of. Instead, she used her grief. Her grief led her to take actions that got back to David. And because of her actions, David went and took the bones of Saul and Jonathan from Jabesh Gilead. They had been there for so long. But because of Rizpah's grief, the way she grieved properly, he realized that they needed to bury them. So my question is, how do we handle grief? Do we let grief make us do what we should not do? Or do we in our grieving glorify God? Question for us. The scene quickly moves to when David was nearly killed by a Philistine. So Abishai, our guy Abishai, we know that, yes, we said he had problems, but he also had good things that he did. He also had good things that he did. He basically saved David, and he told David that you can't be going out with us again. You are the light of Israel. We can't allow them kill you, because once they kill you, then that means they've won the battle. And so from that point, Abishai more or less banned David from battles. And if you notice, David killed Goliath, who was the champion, the giant. David was a giant slayer, right? And the other people that killed the other giants, the Philistines, they were discipled by David. So the question for us is that, who are we raising? Are we raising giant slayers like ourselves, or are we allowing insecurities and all make us try to dim the light of the people that God has brought to us to disciple? Are we trying to generate weaklings that always depend on us, or are we raising fellow giant slayers? And for those of us that are raised by giant slayers, do we now become giant slayers and feel like, oh, I've arrived, I don't need to show respect to my mentor or my father in the Lord, etc. Question for us. God bless us. I'd love to hear your comments as usual.